Nice to see you again. Welcome to Module 8, Common Mistakes in Lesson Planning. If your lesson is a road trip from point A to point B, then the lesson plan is the roadmap that sets your lesson from the starting point to the destination. You are the tour guide while your students are the tourists. Like any road trip, things can go wrong, and if you embark on a road trip with the wrong map, wow, you're just setting yourself up for trouble. Likewise, lesson planning does not always come easy to all teachers, especially the inexperienced ones. So, in today's lesson, we are going to discuss the most common mistakes in lesson planning regarding the lesson objectives, lesson activities, and some other related problems. For each kind of mistake, we won't be focusing on specific mistakes teachers often make, the negative impacts on the effectiveness of the lesson, and ways to avoid them. Are you ready to start? Let's begin our lesson with the most popular mistakes, writing lessons objectives. This is also the focus of this video. Consider a single lesson you will teach. What do you want your students to accomplish by the end of the lesson? As stated in Module 3, it is made clear that lesson objectives are a key part of the creation of an effective lesson plan. Before we go into the details of the mistakes regarding the lesson objectives, let's revise what you have learned about writing objectives by watching the following video. While you're watching, jot down important information on the definition of learning objectives, the features of SMART learning objectives, and the way to write SMART learning objectives using the Bloom taxonomy.
Hi, this is Carl and welcome to OneMinuteTeacher.com. Today we're going to be talking about how to create and maintain classroom interaction through the use of grouping. Creating and maintaining classroom interaction is something that every teacher wants and needs to have. Grouping students is one of the simplest ways to change the dynamics of the classroom. The following are 5 types of classroom grouping arrangements. The 5 ways to group your class are the whole class working together, the whole class mixing with each other as individuals, small groups of 3 to 8 individuals, pairs, and individual work. It is important to know when and how you as a teacher can use any of these 5 types of groupings in the classroom. When you are using any of these grouping strategies, you need to ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve by using this particular grouping strategy? Does this help me achieve my aim quicker than any other method? Will this make my students more involved? How will the classroom interaction be better? Have you thought about how each of the grouping strategies may dynamically change the class? And are you willing to try something new and different? Each class you have is different, and you have to be aware that what might work in one class may not work at all in another. Do certain students stick together in your class? Can you use grouping strategies to get the students to work with different students? I have also found that some students will finish a task very quickly and others will be very slow. How can grouping strategies work here to cope with this issue? Typically, I find that the students who finish the quickest are sometimes the sloppiest. The quality of the work is disregarded, so they can be the first to finish. There are many variables in teaching, and classroom grouping is only one of the many ways that you can increase the quality of the learning experience in your classroom. To find out more information on teaching, contact OneMinuteTeacher.com. Come and check us out. Have a nice day.
Right, welcome back. We all recognize the important role of setting effective lesson objectives, but still, a lot of teachers make mistakes right from the very first step. One of the most serious mistakes is to write unclear and immeasurable objectives. To know or to understand or to learn are some outstanding examples of vague verbs. As you all know, Objectives need to provide teachers with the criteria which they will use to judge their students' achievements. At the same time, students need to base on the objectives for self-assessment. Undoubtedly, without clear and observable objectives, both the teacher and the students will not know how to measure whether or not the objectives have been achieved. Another popular error is to write too long and overly complicated objectives. Such objectives are often compound sentences with several verbs or a list of nouns, which are likely to confuse both the teacher and the students. So, in order to avoid writing unclear, immeasurable, too long, or overly complicated objectives, first, based on the ABCD method to clearly identify 4 different components of good lesson objectives, which are audience, behavior, condition, and degree. Second, refer to the Bloom's taxonomy for a range of action verbs to write observable and achievable objectives. Furthermore, you can simply avoid overly complicated objectives by breaking them into different smaller and concise ones, and remember, utilize simple action verbs from the Bloom's taxonomy together with measurable outcomes. On your screen are sample objectives written for Lesson 1 Getting Started, Unit 8 Sports and Game in tiếng Anh 6 tập 2. And here are some questions for you to consider. How many objectives are stated? Are they well-defined ones? Can you break the first objective into smaller ones? Is the verb understand specific enough? Based on the second objective, will the teacher and the students know what the students are expected to achieve at the end of the lesson? And what they need to do to reach those goals? On answering all those questions, I'm sure you have been able to analyze the problems with those objectives and can revise them. Let's spend 1 minute to answer those questions. Okay, let's see. The teacher here has made several mistakes. For objective number 1, it is too long and complicated, which combines 3 unrelated smaller objectives. Understand activities at the gym, review vocabs about school things, and use combinations go, play, and do with noun or verb in. Not to mention that the part of reviewing vocabulary about school things is not the focus of this lesson and should be omitted. Moreover, the verb understand is unclear, unobservable. How can the teacher know that the students have understood the activities at the gym? This objective doesn't provide the teacher enough guidance in order to determine whether the objective has in fact been met. For objective number 2, well, actually, it sounds too general to be an objective. Which specific sub-skill in listening, reading, speaking, and writing does the teacher want the students to acquire? In this Getting Started lesson, the main aim is not to develop any specific language skill, but rather to get the students prepared for the following parts in the unit. An additional comment is about parallelism when writing adjectives. Action verbs should be in the same form to infinitive or verb ing. A better version of this could be, by the end of this lesson, students will be able to explain sports words and phrases, accurately use the combination go, play, do, and together with noun and verb ing, talk about sports and games using the learned vocabulary and structures. Hope that you have found this video useful.